Thank you again for today is the second day of the panel of the session, and what I would like to thank Ming Wong and also United Way and Community Chest of Korea for convening this very important session. As you have heard yesterday and also today as well, the theme about the giving and also in terms of giving back to the community and also the different speeches that you have had over yesterday and today as well, the importance of the individual and also the importance of how it relates to the community that you're giving back to is very important. And today at this session, this panel session, is a relatively easier task because number one is we're focusing on the importance of fundraising. Fundraising for social issues that people care about, for the community that one cares about. And also, we talked about in terms of who are the givers. We talked about yesterday about the importance of how the giver through their philanthropic intent is able to express their interest and the role of technology as such. Today at this panel, we will be honing in on fundraising itself. And this panel of speakers, you already have their bios on your program book, so I will not repeat them, except to say that it is a very diverse group of individuals who are leaders in their respective fields and areas. As with the previous sessions and the formats, we will make this interactive, but we also account for the fact that we have a diverse group of individuals. Some of them, English is not necessarily native, so we will be a bit more flexible in terms of the time, in terms of sharing. Each of them will be speaking for 5 to 7 minutes, but to the extent that we're able to draw out some of their sessions, even up to 10 minutes is okay. It's important for us to actually be able to express those thoughts. So my name is Philoalto. I'm the founder and CEO of Asia Value Advisors. We are a philanthropy and impact investing advisory firm based in Hong Kong. And what we do is that we advise individuals and philanthropists, whether corporate, community, or family foundations, to express how they can create sustainable impacts, whether via their giving, via their venture philanthropy, or impact investing practices. In our view, it is important that when we look at expressing your philanthropic intent, there are many ways by which we can express that. Giving is one of the tools. Providing your networks, expertise, volunteering your time, these are all the very different tools. And our speakers today will share the different facets of that as well, okay? So this morning, what we will do is we will start first with Veronica COLONDAM. She is the founder and CEO of a YCAB Foundation based in Indonesia. Oh yeah, okay, we will get to that, yeah. After Veronica, we will have Derong he's the executive vice chairman of the Shanghai Charity Foundation, Xu Zong. And he'll be sharing his perspective from a China perspective, but hopefully there are parallels that we can learn from here in Korea and also elsewhere in the region. And then followed by Henk, CAMPHER, Vice President of Marketing, Salesforce.org, and he's based in the US. You've heard from him yesterday, and he can hone in further in terms of his the topic of fundraising and the role of technology that his organization is catalyzing for the rest of the space. And last but not least, we have Haruka MERA, who's the founder and CEO of READYFOR from Japan. And both Haruka and also Henk will share the perspective of the technology side. And Veronica and Derong will share about the broader context of the landscape. So with that, I will pass it on to Veronica. And from the audience on your side, start thinking about the questions that you may want to ask about, because we have just enough time. 75 minutes is just enough time for us to make this interactive, but enabling our speakers to be more in-depth in their respective topics. With that, can we post the slides first for Veronica? And also her clicker. Let's give a warm round of applause to Veronica, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here back in Seoul. The last time I was here with my family was 2 years ago. I remember it was it was New Year's Eve, and we had a New Year's celebration in the car because it was very traffic. But yeah, thank you, Philo, for the introduction. I'm gonna I come from two organizations. So YCAB is one as a foundation, and the second one is actually a new appointee role as the co-chair of Asian Venture Philanthropies, AVPN. So we all agree that giving, the world of philanthropy is wonderful. I think at least Charity Navigator last year recorded almost $500 billion in giving alone in the US, and I think the figure can easily come up to a quarter trillion globally. But there's a paradigm shift because of the philanthropy world kind of limited in the sense that if you come from, like myself, from the social entrepreneurship world, that creates a sort of like a donor's dependency. That's every giver wouldn't want that to happen. And because of that dependency from the side of the implementer or the recipient organization, the program sometimes becomes unsustainable. And that's also something that we don't want to give to something that is unsustainable. The culture has shifted throughout, I think maybe the last 20 years into something that's on this side is impact investing. It's interesting because it kind of force doers, implementers, nonprofits to change the way they do business. Because not only that they should do it well or better, they should actually retain some profits. We don't like to use the word profit because it's too commercial, sounds commercial. In Indonesia, we use the word surplus. And the surplus is to be divided between the organization and so-called investors. But the world of impact investing, of course, I mean, the asset on management by the GIIN, that's Global Impact Investing Network, who kind of, review how much money has been going into this sector, is about a quarter of giving. I think asset on management is around $114 billion, although there's a dream to hit the first trillion. 2014, I think, or 2016, the UN gathered all the asset managers in the world and have that goal to hit the first trillion by 2030. We don't know whether we're gonna get there. But you see the whole paradigm shift from giving, pure giving, to investment, meaning I want my money back with interest, kind of give the entire ecosystem, leads on the new ecosystem of the new world, of impact world. We got the role of intermediaries or enablers. They call themselves accelerators or incubators. And of course, the impact behaviors, funding behaviors, that's all change, is at least changing. So I guess the world of philanthropy, we love givers. We love people who give, but there's a new breed of givers who don't actually give, but they kind of loan up their money for social enterprise to create social good and do it sustainably. So this kind of, in a way, limit also the kind of organization they can work with, because not all nonprofit can be social entrepreneurs. This is the reality. So I guess this is kind of lead me to YCAB's story. So we're done with AVPN, so lead me to YCAB's story. What we do, if you look at the logo, is this a pointer? The one bottom there is a book. It's actually a book. It's kind of an open book, and that looks like an arrow is a prosperous house. So the entire model believes in the power of education to break poverty cycle. YCAB stands for Yayasan. The Y is actually foundation. The word C is cinta, means love. Anak bangsa is the children of the nation. So if we do it with love, I mean, giving comes with love. If you love, you give. And you will change, you will break that poverty cycle through education. But the thing is, how to do it sustainably? That's a big question. But I guess back there, let's just move forward. Why we're doing this? We established in 1999, almost 20 years, simply because we're dealing with millions of dropout. In Indonesia, 2.5 million drop out, meaning they do not finish high school level. So we have one story, like Kristanti here. She's a domestic helper. So we do have get help, like a domestic helper at home. She dropped out of middle school at 15, but then to find next door, there's a free school that we run. We run $1 a school, kind of a month kind of school. It's actually outside of school system, mainstream, simply because we want to target those who actually drop out already. So she dropped out, worked in the house as a domestic helper, and then she got into the school, finished the equivalent, and then got a Samsung repair electronic, and moves forward. In I think 3 years into the job, she became Samsung best employee in Indonesia, and by 2017, she is the best agent Southeast Asia. That's the story that we want to change. We want to bring every school dropout to be financially independent. That brings me to our business model. How does it work? So we work with the social investment fund, which we invest in our what we call a mission-driven microfinance. It's not just microfinance, it's microfinance for education. That means we use all the profit to cover the education program of our work. And then that enables education for those people who drop out, or mothers, women, nano, it's not even micro entrepreneurs, nano entrepreneurs. We're looking at $100 kind of loan to create that opportunity for education so that they can become self-reliant, or in our language, mandiri. That self-reliant next generation who can actually give back, quote unquote, by investing in our big social investment pool through a mutual fund. So this is a whole closed loop of sustainability where the money is used to enable education. Education enables them to be self-reliant. And when they are actually self-reliant, they have salaries from their jobs. They can, participate. Small chunk, like $10, $20 type of mutual fund, back in the big picture. So that's the entire model. So that brings us to the kind of models that we have. People can definitely still give. This is what happened with our what we call philanthropy investment. It's an impact-only kind of thing, meaning that you don't get your money back, but it's sustainable. I can give you examples when we have more time. On the social investment package, it's actually locked in for 5 years, near market return with a 5 years payback. So everybody should participate in creating change by giving. Those who are, I call shy givers, not yet ready to give. We can also tap into that market and encourage them to participate in creating that change for the whole world, a social good in a sustainable way through impact investing. I'm going to stop there, Philo, because the challenges maybe, I have another slide on challenges, but that's for later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Veronica. So we started with Veronica precisely because it shows the point that it starts first with an individual who has the intention to create positive social impact. And her role as an individual, whether professionally and personally, demonstrates that you have different tools by which you can do things. On one side, she could directly volunteer or even donate her own funds to causes that she cares about, but donation in itself is not enough. At some point, sometimes some of the organizations that she cares about need to have sustainability. As such, she created different vehicles, and she also participated to be a member of the Asia Venture Philanthropy Network and other organizations who are finding ways by which individuals, through their professional capacities, are able to find sustainable ways to fund organizations such as social enterprises to make a difference while making sure that the money itself creates positive social and environmental impact. We now move on to from the individual side to community side, and we will be I'll be passing it on to Derong Shi, who will be sharing his perspective in China in respect to the work that he does professionally and personally, and then afterwards you can see the theme that individual to community. With that, let's give a warm round of applause to Derong Shi.
I'm sorry, my speech is in Chinese, so it's better to use this. 尊敬的各位来宾，大家早晨好。我是上海慈善基金会的这个副理事长。我参加上海慈善基金会24年，从它创办时候开始。我也是担任了这个 Special Olympics 的上海的 Chairman， 也25年了。所以我本职不是做这个的，我是个志愿者，但是我做了很多工作在这些组织中间。那么上海慈善基金会，我向大家介绍一下，24年成立到现在为止，捐的钱一共超过了100亿。哎呀，超过了100亿，大概是100亿的话，人民币的话应该是16亿美金。那么整体上呢，我们帮助的人数超过了1000多万，这是我们慈善基金会的基本情况。那么最近呢，今天呢，这是我们讨论募捐的创新。那么我们想讨论一下关于大额捐款人，就是高净值客户。怎么在中国要推进它的捐款的情况？那么我们感到是个创新，因为中国在最近10年、20年发生了很大的变化，在募捐的市场上面，我们感到有3个新的情况。第一个情况是高净值的客户，就高收入的人迅速的增加。我们这里有很多数字，我不一一讲了，就是说其中有一个数字，就是说3000万美金的这个收入的。有资产的家庭，现在已经到了4万8千个这种家庭了。他们有能力出来投资，当然可能他们完全有潜力拿出一部分钱来做慈善。那么最近呢，我们也有权威的统计，中国企业家捐赠的前100名，从2010年到2016年，已经从13亿美金。到了46亿美金，就增长非常快。现在就个人、私人的大额捐款人的速度增长非常快。16年的是46万美金，到了17年、18年可能翻倍的在增加。这是第一个，就是中国的高净值客户。第二个情况是中国的企业成长非常快，现在福布斯的世界500强，中国现在占了120强，美国是占126，所以我们也是增长非常快。在上海，我在上海，大概是到了今年的18年的上半年，跨国公司的总部。在中国的总部或者亚太地区的总部已经达到了670多家，而现在的很多跨国公司和大的企业，中国的大企业都是有 CSR 部门，都是在做企业文化，都是在做慈善，现在都有这个意识了。就是说，实际上企业中间的捐款是在迅速的增加。第三，在中国 就是那个 network， 就是 online 这个阿里巴巴、腾讯，现在他们的发展非常快。现在中国有20多个募款的网络起来了，一天就是在9月9号那一天，光腾讯那一天，一天大概要捐2亿人民币啊，一天就可以捐2亿人民币，所以这都是中国的新的情况。那么这3个情况呢？对于我们来说，第3个情况，网络捐赠的情况，基本上是小额捐赠，基本上就是100人民币、200人民币，就是10亿美金、20亿美金的随手捐，他没有大额人捐，比如说捐100万美金，他是通过一天的网络这捐赠没有。而现在第1类、第2类其实就是大额的捐款人的这个市场，因此呢，我们研究了以后呢，感觉这个市场潜力非常大，增长非常快，他们要求的愿望非常强烈，但是没有一个完整的服务体系，或者这个服务体系在成长中间，所以呢，这是我们感觉大额捐款人在哪里。那么因此呢，这段时期我们在研究大额捐款人。大额捐款人呢，这情况怎么样？最近昨天贝恩说来说的演说者说了，他说在中国20%的帮困的项目得到了80%的钱，这是昨天贝恩在调查的情况，他昨天说了，为什么？是因为刚才那个韩国的秘书长说了。现在的捐款人不是捐给你20年以前捐给你算了，在中国，现在大家都要了解你的项目好不好，你的项目透明不透明，你的项目是不是真正帮助到该帮助的人了，他都要了解。不仅要了解开始，还了解过程，还了解结果，还有他们还希望参与。越来越多的高净值客户，他的子女要参与。越来越多的大的企业，他的员工要参与。如果你对他不透明、不公开，拿了个钱就结束了，对不起，不给你了。所以就是产生了这个现象。那么我们在研究的过程中间，感觉怎么把他的捐款要捐到我们这里来？我们要选择好项目，就是选择好项目的标准是什么呢？第一，它肯定要有社会影响力的。这个，我想我不多解释什么叫好项目，大家做慈善的，大家一听就懂。这个项目好还是不好，对吧？是不是针对性很强？是不是对社会这个有好的帮助？这是第一条，这是第一个标准。但是第2个标准呢，非常重要的是规范化的，整个有个标准，规范化的管理的标准。你怎么管理它？你的财务清楚不清楚？你是不是经过评估？等等。那么其实就是我是做 PE 的这个公司的，就是跟我们投资一个项目一样，把捐赠的就是这个投资人的钱拿来了以后，做一个项目，你要做尽调，你要做投资决策，然后要做投后管理，最后要跟捐赠人报告。那你有没有这个标准？这个非常重要，这一套东西非常重要，这是第2个。第3个，你这个项目能不能复制，非常重要。大额捐款人他是一大笔钱来了，比如说200万美金给你，没有这样大的项目的，一个项目没有这么大的，他一定是一个项目10万美金、5万美金。你如果标准化建设了以后，你能不能说10万美金的项目我copy100个？如果 copy 100个的话，它就可能就是100万美金就是可以进来了。所以我们认为好项目的3个标准。接下来，那么怎么有标准拿出来了以后，那么怎么为它服务啊？为它服务，这个服务呢，我们体会2条。第一条，要有一个信息化的平台，要有高技术来支撑。昨天这个Henk 介绍了他跟那个联合之路一起搞的慈善云， 它就是为大企业服务的一个平台，它把所有的企业中间的员工把它集中起来，集中到这个企业的头上的云，然后再到个更大的云中间去。昨天他就介绍了。然后还有捐赠者建议基金，我们也学习了。其实它是对大额捐款人的一种服务。增值服务、挑选项目的服务、监督的服务。所以最近美国2件大事，第一件就是 DAF 捐赠人建议基金，第二个就是 Brian 跟9C 他们在搞的一个慈善云，对大企业建立云的概念。所以这是第一，这实际上是个网络体系问题。第二，我体会光有个网络体系不够。还要有个线下的专业的服务人员，来对大客户要服务。对捐赠人，你要见面吗？你就靠网络，人家捐给你100万不见面。你来好的项目进来的话，你就靠网络看一下真实性怎么样，建设怎么样，有什么问题你要给他解答。因此，下面一支服务的队伍非常重要，服务的专业性问题。服务这个体系问题等等这些问题，因此呢，这个服务最终是我们体会叫网上和网下、线上和线下结合起来、融合起来，这才是一个能够为大额捐款人服务的一个平台。所以我们在1月31号。我们成立一个叫大爱福专项基金，叫 DAF 专项基金。我们在做这个平台，我们向 DAF 学习了美国。5月份我到美国去了，洛克菲勒基金会待了3天，其他的基金会一个走。他们怎么为高净值客户、为家族基金服务？我们又学习了这个慈善云，这个9C 啊，这王本明先生啊，这个袁家凯先生给了我们很多信息，对吧？这个 Brian 也是有个很多的讲话。昨天我们又听了他的讲话。那么这样的话呢，就是他怎么为这个企业的变成了高净值客户？我感觉呢 ，DF 是个 B2C 的，直接我们到个人。慈善云是 B2B2C， 啊，这个我是这样理解的。所以呢，这2个东西怎么学习结合？我们成立一个我们的平台。所以首先，我们把这个高净值客户归成4类。第一类是高净值的个人，第二类是金融机构管理高净值人的金融机构，比如说每个银行的私人银行部。第3个是家族基金，第4个是大公司、跨国公司。所以我们想在这4类机构和人群中间，我们要建立这个网络。然后呢，我们要把什么呢？要把我们的网络建起来，我们的团队建起来。所以呢，我们最近半年呢做了这样的努力。我们在开会的星期2到韩国来的以前的2天，都是在开会。我们的第1步的网络已经建好了。我们的袁家凯他们的联合之路的首代，在来韩国以前的1个下午，还跟我们一起参加会议，再一起来讨论支持我们。所以我们现在这个专项平台的顾问委员会主席是我们9C，也是给我们做了很多的支持。那么这个网络已经第1阶段基本好了。这次会议以后，第1批的高净值的这个客户会进来了，第1批的项目会进来了。我们当然我们还调试，要有几个月。所以呢，我们这个平台大概在不久就会正式对外这个推出来。所以我们非常希望得到联合之路的支持，也希望得到 Henk 啊，昨天也跟他一起讨论，希望得到他们的支持。最后就是我们用一句广告语，就是coming soon，opening soon， 谢谢。
Many thanks, Mr. Shi. Take this out first. The sharing of Mr. Shi is very pertinent in respect to the work that you're doing, because we first touch upon individuals, and then afterwards, Mr. Shi did a broader perspective about the work that he does through and within the community context, and also through the Shanghai Charity Foundation. Why I say this is important because globally, and not just in China as well, the trust within countries via you've heard of the Edelman Trust Barometer, has been going down. What I mean by that is that there's more and more skepticism among the different segments of the community, whether funders, whether government, whether media, nonprofits, or social enterprise. These trusts have been sort of eroding over time, and this is a challenge. From a perspective of philanthropy, this is why when we talk about organizing oneself as a community foundation or community philanthropy, through which Mr. Shi has discussed, it's important that we don't just focus on the donors themselves, how donors give, how to make it impactful, how to make it effective and relevant, but also who they are serving, are addressing their social issues to. And this is where the community, if you're going to use the word community in terms of who you're delivering it to, have to make sure that the community themselves, the beneficiaries, the people at the grassroots level, feel that their voices are being heard and their voices are also being expressed and surfaced through the mechanisms that Mr. Shi has provided. And also, it's not just purely flagging it, but also enabling them to see, oh, our voice are being heard, and hopefully our voices are being funded and supported through the work that United Way and also Community Chest Korea and in China as well are being expressed as well. So that is a very important balancing act. And in the context of worsening wealth inequality, not just in your respective cities and countries, the sense of community, the sense of feeling that the community feels that it's not us receiving from the donors or the funders, but it's really an ability to include the community in the discussion is very critical in this discussion and will be more so in the coming years. This then segues well into the discussion that Henk will be sharing. Henk has already provided his context yesterday in terms of what the role of Salesforce.org is doing as it relates to providing further streamlining of facilitating donor interest and also donations as well as accountability. But in addition to his presentation, I would also like to encourage him to also touch upon how their platform at some later point, maybe version 2.0 or something, to touch on how can the community as well as the NGOs or social enterprise who will be benefiting from some of this work to scale it up, because as we know, it's an ecosystem so that to make this happen. So with that, I'll pass it on to Henk for his initial thoughts. Henk?
Thank you very much. I'm going to stand, just if you don't mind. I'm going to get stiff sitting here, and especially because I'm going to take the next 45 minutes, right, to do this. But I first want to start off by saying, on this piece of paper they gave me, it specifically says, do not click other buttons. And I'm like, you told the wrong guy that. I'm desperately wanting to click some other buttons. But it's actually relevant to what we'll be talking about, is this whole idea that the economy has changed. The bricks and mortar has been taken over by the click economy. Just click here if I want to buy that, click there. And I want to go, well, even the click economy is disappearing because that assumes that we actually have a mouse that we click on. We don't. Everything happens with one thing. Pointing your finger, what you want. Literally, you don't even click anymore. You just point your finger. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's just, what do you want to do? I want to go there. Who's going to pick you up? They're going to pick me up. You want to donate where? I want to donate there. Just simple pushing the button. It's not even clicking. It's just pointing. And that's hopefully what we'll talk about a little bit, that we're trying to figure out with United Way with our philanthropy platform. Philanthropy Cloud is actually making it as easy as just point and say, I want to support that initiative, and I want to donate my time or my money to do that, and how do you make it easy for me? Because who's got kids here? Anyone? I mean, how do you get them to look up? You know, it's like they're constantly like this. Like you have to build the world around them and pad the world so that they don't keep on knocking into it. But we have to think about them, because if we think about how the world has changed, right now, every piece of research tells us, every piece of research in every country tells us one thing. This generation cares more about how they can impact the world than any generation before. They want to work for the companies and want to be part of societies that creates a better world. But that's the one thing. The second thing is they want to point to this phone and say that's where. So we got to marry those two worlds. We got to bring their need to change the world to their need to point. That old movie of Kevin Costner, what's it, the baseball one? Build it and they will come. Remember when he built a baseball field? Firstly, as a South African, I had to figure out what baseball was. But he built a baseball field and people will just show up. Yeah, no, it doesn't work like that anymore. You build an office or you build a shop, people don't just come anymore. You have to go where they want to be. So the challenge for companies is, how do you actually not tell your employees what to do? You actually listen to them and empower yourself to be part of their world. You can't just tell them what to do anymore. The world is changing dramatically, so fast. And what I'm going to talk about will must probably be even more weird and different in a year, 2 years' time. I clicked the right button. Simple philosophy, and I mentioned it yesterday, that we start off with. Everyone who wants to change the world should have the technology to do so. That's where this whole partnership started. Every single person who wants to change the world should have that technology, and they should have the best technology, not just the leftover technology, and that's why we exist. I told you yesterday about this, so I'm not going to repeat this, but this is our journey of how we want to reach impact from the community, investment, and technology. But I want to talk about the age of connected experiences a little bit. We've heard people talk about the fourth industrial revolution a little bit. Now, this is how the world's changed. From right back there in the first industrial revolution, you can mail a letter to someone like, whoa, blew your mind. You can write it on a piece of paper and magically, in a year's time, it'll arrive somewhere else. And that person will go, this is brand new news, and hope that you're still alive because you wrote it a year ago. And we then changed it, the second industrial revolution, when we started with mass communications. We had televisions, people talking on a tube, magic, radio, voices over the air telling us about all these stories and beautiful things in the world that we can only imagine. But we couldn't be there. We couldn't really see it. It wasn't, except for the radio, which was voices, television wasn't really as live and on my hands. It was always the news, or always a day late, or it happened earlier today. It wasn't now. And then we changed to the third industrial revolution, where everything just started becoming digital. We had our laptops and everything just become connected. But we're really now in this networked economy. I have my watch. Unfortunately, it's synced to my other phone that I left at home. So it tells me right now the time is 6:30 in the morning or in the evening back home in Seattle, because I forgot to sync it with the right phone. But everything is here or in my pocket. When I leave the house, I don't even worry. I've got a passport. That's not digital yet. Someday people will catch up on that. But it's on my phone and this. I don't even have to worry about money because it's on my phone and on this. And increasingly people are connected in that way. Now, how do we empower people and giving in that digital connected network world? Every employee, every customer and community is connected. Everyone's connected. Whether you like it or not, they are connected. I always say that often companies say, well, I don't want to talk about this. And I go, guess what? Somebody is. Your only choice is whether you talk about it or someone else talks about it. Your employees are already involved in the community. Your employees are already giving in the community, time and money. Your only choice is, do you want to be part of their world or not? If you're not part of their world, you're disconnected from them. Right now, 80% of employees and customers expect a B2C experience. So when we started talking, us in United Way started talking, it's like, how do we treat employees, not like employees, but like customers, like consumers? How do we live in their world? So this whole technology that we built, this philanthropy cloud, was all about how do we make it easy for them to connect to the world around them. And companies can be part of that. Companies is the perfect avenue because they can connect deeper with their employees. They can support their employees. They can learn from the employees. So it's a two-way communication. And if you think of how corporates are awakening as well, and why there's this moment in time, we have 57% of employees want to work for companies who care. 57% of employees. In a world where we simply don't have enough STEM students anymore. We just simply, doesn't matter what countries, there's always a shortage. Who do you think they're going to work for? Why do you think people want to work for Salesforce? We are a B2B company. Why do you think that we are one of the best places to work at in the US and actually globally? One simple reason. We call it Ohana. This idea of we are a larger family. You can be who you want to be. You can connect to your community, and we will support you. I told you yesterday that every employee at Salesforce gets measured. One thing gets measured in time. How much time you give away, volunteers, 7 days a year. 57% want to buy or boycott a brand based on their social or political stand. People will be involved. They will make those decisions. We already see it. And 80% of fund managers engaged in SRI based on their investor requests. So we increasingly see people not just involving in the community, but actually where they invest their money. They want to know that this goes to a place that changes the world. So, doing good drives good business. If you look at that, everything from recruiting new employees to improve business assets, to contribute to marketability, you can read. I'm not going to go through all of that. But the idea is put the employee in the middle, treat them like they're the givers, they're at the center of your universe. These are just some of the simple benefits that companies can have. So, voila. How do we do that? Philanthropy Cloud. Simple, bridging experience, make it easy for people. Put that employee right in the center. This is the beauty of the partnership with United Way. They have the connection to the employee through employers, through the partnerships that you already have, that United Way's already have. So working with them, we're going, okay, how do we help that individual, that employee, manage their employee volunteering? So how companies can manage the employee volunteering, and the individuals can connect to their employee volunteering or their giving. From corporate grant management, how do you make it easy? Remember, point, not click anymore. Just how do I point this? Just simply point it to my phone. I want to volunteer there. I want to do this because I feel passionate about it now. Consumer engagement, what do we mean by that? Treat them like they're consumers. Point, make it easy, on the phone. Easy for them to engage with anyone, anywhere, and that comes by the fund distribution. This is all on the Philanthropy Cloud. But this is a key part. Why? Because on Philanthropy Cloud, they will then also be able to challenge their other employees, their friends, through the social networks that's built in. They can feed the news, thanks to United Way having great content. We can feed that news into one platform where people can go, oh, that issue I care about, something is happening, act. And they can, one of the things that people like doing while they're on their phones and social networks, it's called bragging. It's one of our human natures, is we like to say that, hey, I'm doing something, are you? I'm a little bit better than you. I'm a little bit cooler than you. Look at my selfie, And that's what we try and allow in there, that interaction for people to do a little bit of bragging. Feel good about the actions that you take. Be realistic. We always say oh, people don't want to brag about it. Really? Have you been on social network lately? That's all we do there. Thank you. I don't know if the video is working. I was going to show a video. Can we try it? Is it there?
Suspense.
It's got everything in it.
Volume? Yeah. Can we turn up the volume, please?
Isn't that amazing? Hope you get the feeling in that video. What we want to try and do with Philanthropy Cloud is make it as easy as doing your job. No matter where you are while you're in your job, make it easy for employees to connect to those things and those people and causes that they feel passionate about. And I have to brag about the video because my team did it, so it's amazing. I mean, it was Harry Potter, K-pop, you name it, everything was in there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Henk. So as you can see from Henk's presentation, technology is no longer an additional channel by which philanthropists and individuals can donate their time and efforts and also their funding as well. It is already part of our day-to-day lives as well. So one point before I pass it on to Haruka, I just wanted to add from a Hong Kong context. When you talk about the philanthropic intention and technology using the online channels to donate, what happens is that you may have a platform by which you have a list of NGOs who you can potentially donate to. However, what could also happen at the same time is that maybe in your respective countries and also cities, there are maybe thousands of NGOs out there, but not all of them are technologically savvy for them to be able to be ready to be posted on to the platform, whether Salesforce.org or what have you. And so what happens, for example, in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong Jockey Club, for example, they realized that instead of funding educating donors as to how best they could utilize their donation money, they've recently funded a program to help NGOs learn more about what they call digital exploration. In other words, teaching NGOs to find ways by which they can become more digital savvy in terms of how they communicate their messaging, how they communicate their impact, and so on and so forth. Because if that part of the equation is not tackled, what will happen is that you'll actually, instead of increasing digital promotion, you're actually creating more digital divide, because many of those NGOs who cannot have access or don't know how to be more digital savvy, they will not be listed in the first place. Therefore, you have to balance out both the supply side and also the demand side, the uses of these funds. And that brings us well into Haruka's work with her platform, READYFOR, which is a specific example of how such use of digital work that enables her to use crowdfunding for the organizations that need crowdfunded sources. With that, let's give Haruka a warm round of applause.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to such a great conference. Today, I'd like to introduce my platform, READYFOR, and share what kind of situation people use crowdfunding in Japan, with introducing for just two projects. Let me introduce myself. My name is Haruka, MERA. I am a founder and CEO of READYFOR, which is the first and one of the biggest crowdfunding platform in Japan. I have a grandfather who was an inventor, but his invention was not known to many people. Under this environment, since I was a child, I have thought everyone has his or her own ideas, but it is difficult to spread the idea to many people and find some people to support and encourage to make the ideas come true. When I studied at Stanford for summer program in 2010, I was inspired at the system of crowdfunding, which raised the amount of money and cheered up by many individuals who didn't know each other, had been spreading widely. I made a decision to start a crowdfunding platform in Japan and would like to make the world where everyone can make their own dreams come true. READYFOR was founded in 2011, the year when a big earthquake happened in Japan. And after the earthquake, the platform was used by social project and social entrepreneurs, NPO and NGO groups for the purpose of crowdfunding. Some projects raised money to rebuild a library destroyed by tsunami. For seven years after the earthquake, our platform has been growing rapidly, and we are still the #1 crowdfunding platform for social entrepreneurs and social projects. Over 8,500 projects were started in our platform, and the number of proposals which wish to start crowdfunding in READYFOR is 33% growth last month. 65 million has been funded in total. The most unique point is 75% successful rate. The average rate of success rate in crowdfunding all over the world, laser to consult about each project. As a result, many potential project owners have chosen our platform for crowdfunding. If I have much time to make a presentation, I'd like to introduce each of the projects because each project have a great story. But today, here I have not much time, so just introducing to just the top 2 projects. The first one is to raise money for Children's Hospital to make new clean rooms for leukemia patients. Our company and this hospital had a press conference to spread the project to many to spread this project to a lot of people feeling empathy. As a result, we had a huge press coverage by many newspapers and internet medias. And within only 12 hours, we reached the goal of funding. After the success of this project, a lot of medical centers came to have an interest in using our platform for crowdfunding as well. Other one is to raise money for researchers. Yoichi Ochiya is an associate professor at Tsukuba University. This is a famous national university and a well-known researcher in AI and VR. His team decided to use crowdfunding to raise $200,000 US dollars in order to start a new research. In Japan, basically, the cost of research in national university is granted by the national budget of Japan. Researchers in Japan, however, do not often acquire the sufficient amount of money for their researches. So he decided to try a new fundraising tool. After the project, our company contracted some national university to raise money through crowdfunding easily for researchers. I think that the new ways of digital funding, like crowdfunding and ICO and so on, have a potential to become a center of fundraising tool for entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs. According to the digital innovation, such as micropayment system and the blockchain and so on. So my company commits itself to encourage some kind of the new tool to make everyone's dreams come true. Thank you.
Thank you, Haruka. So you've seen the examples that for the organizations who uses READYFOR platform and to get funding, they are not necessarily NGOs or charities. These are organizations or even specific projects that potentially will be perceived to be too early or a bit too risky. But for the direct beneficiaries of this project, they feel that having this validation of these early supporters will enable them to get funding that they would otherwise not get if they actually try to raise seed stage funding from angel investors or what have you. So we now move on to the moderated discussion. I'm also mindful of the time, so for the audience, wanted to see maybe you can start thinking about a few, one or two questions, maybe one questions that you have in mind for the panel, and also for each of you, start thinking about maybe one question you may want to ask for your fellow panelists as well to make this more interactive. I will start first with Haruka, with asking her the question. In terms of the crowdfunding as a source of fund for the projects or organizations who come in and use your platform, how do you see crowdfunding to be unique in terms of the funding for these organizations relative to their other alternatives, such as borrowing from their families, friends, and also angel investors?
Yeah, I think typical fundraising for social entrepreneurs is grants from government or foundations. However, as there are some strict law to spend grants from government, so it is difficult to spend money for innovative companies like social entrepreneurs. For example, necessary expenses must be decided before the proposal gets accepted. On the other hand, crowdfunding is a tool for every individual to fund each project they like. So funders, the donors, don't much care how they spend money strictly. So I think that crowdfunding is a best tool for social entrepreneurs to start their new project and new company.
Thank you. So you can see that different life stages of different organizations will have different appropriate sources of funding, in which case for crowdfunding, it is at the earlier stages, but not necessarily on the scale-up stages for funding. I now turn to Veronica. So Veronica, in terms of her slides earlier, she shared the broader spectrum of the philanthropic landscape, whether via charitable giving, impact investing, or venture philanthropy. Now, I'd like to ask from the perspective of impact, because everyone throws out the word social impact so casually, as if you just say it and magically impact will happen. But it's definitely much more rigorous and more robust, because otherwise impact is subjective to whoever is funding the initiative in the first place. So in the space, or I guess in your experience, how do you quantify or how do you measure the impact of the work that you do so that people will not say that it's Veronica's pet project as opposed to here is the impact and here are my measures for the intended impacts that I'm generating and why I'm using philanthropy or impact investing? Can you share some thoughts?
Thank you for the question. I think impact really is for our social enterprise. I mean, I'm wearing a lot of hats here. So I'm a philanthropist, also running a social entrepreneurs and also impact investors. So from the social entrepreneurs side, impact is anywhere in the world is qualitative or quantitative. So the qualitative, like we track how many recipient beneficiaries of our program. And in 18 years of our presence, we reached face-to-face outreach about 3.4 million young people that we have touched their life through our programs some ways. That's the quantitative side. But the qualitative side, what happened after you're being, given a program? So for us is the self-reliant part, because we want them not to only get education, but to be independent financially so that they can now, again, later on give back to the social investment pool. That's from the social enterprise perspective. But from the investor perspective, for example, we invest in the mission-driven microfinance. What makes it different? Because we actually use our profits to cover the education of the mothers, the microfinance beneficiaries' children, to continue education and to go to higher degrees through scholarships. We see the business itself, the women entrepreneurs business, how their daily income improve. And we see over at entry point versus 12 months after, their income doubles. So we're looking at an average of 1.9, under $2 definitely a day. This is urban poverty. And after 12 months of intervention, their income will double, triple to $3.3 to $3.6. So for us as investors, we're happy because we see that real income increase in our investees. But of course, again, because we're connecting it with education, we want to see how many of those with dropout children come back to school. Now that's more impact in the qualitative side. And those who actually come back to school, what happened to them? So we have about 72% sort of like success rate in terms of those who actually get education, get jobs, or they start their own business. So this we track a year after the graduation of their children, so that we cannot track forever. So that's just the 1 year kind of tracking impact that you mentioned.
Thank you. So Veronica shared the importance of impact and how she measures it. And the increase in the income, it's not like the income increases during the program, and suddenly goes back down after the program is over. So the key word here is, to some extent, sustainability. And I'd like to link back our discussion, our panel here today, to the Sustainable Development Goals, which was a major component of the themes, because to some extent, the 17 goals that I think in the keynote speech that Ban Ki-moon has shared is that every organization and every sector will have their own respective work, whether they call it development, they call it the philanthropy, or whether they call it the CSR, or whether they call it community philanthropy. Each of those will have specific impacts of their work, but through framing it through the 17 goals and connecting what are the direct and indirect linkages to each one of them, this provides a common language for sustainable impacts. And they could have simply said 17 goals, but they use the word sustainable because of the reliance on the word, how do you sustain such impact? Yeah? I'd like to move on to Mr. Shi in terms of the community foundation, or community, it's not a community foundation as of yet, because in China, from a regulation perspective, it's not, it's still an evolving situation. But how do you, in your work, how do you balance the needs of the donors with the community that you donate to? Because that is always a difficult balancing act to make sure that the community also feels that their voices are being heard and that their voices are also being acted upon and funded, and not just the funders themselves. I don't know if that translation will translate well. Yeah.
我还是感觉，如果要调动这个捐赠的积极性，目前要更透明、更公开的就把这个钱用在哪里的整个过程，能够使他们了解。我想2个方面，第一，如果即使是网络众筹，我感觉众筹的钱到时候也要跟社会公布，因为这是公开募集的，向社会公布这个钱用的怎么样，这样的话呢，就可能会更透明。如果是私募定向募捐，定向募捐可能更多的是大额捐款人，一定要把整个项目的决定，以及在整个过程中间的评估，这个审计。我们现在是准备请著名的审计部门和法律事务所一起来参与，把这个结果定期的向捐赠人来报告。就像我们投资，就像我们买公募基金，基金就是我们现在投资公募基金，它每一个月、每一季度都向投资人有报告，你的钱增值到什么程度了。那我在想，如果每一季度或者每个月向捐赠人报告这个钱用在哪里，用的怎么样，帮困对象反应怎么样，还要听取捐赠人的意见 ，donor advised。那么这样的话，我相信对捐赠人的尊重，可能就是下一步 我想我们应该努力的。而且呢，我们在实践中间体会，对他们的信息沟通透明的话，很多的捐赠人是愿意拿钱来的，特别是高净值的捐赠人。
Sure. So we have, I think in terms of the sharing for the community foundation, it is important that that balancing act. But of course, you still have to think about transparency and the confidence that you're providing to the donors who are donating to you. And then of course, being very systematic and rigorous in terms of how you channel those money to the community whom you claim that you represent, so that they will say, okay, this trust can be maintained over time. Now, we literally have 5 more minutes to go in this. So as I turn to Henk, instead of asking him a specific question, I'd maybe perhaps, Ming, yeah. Okay, so what I'll do is each one of you think about your closing word or call to action. But how many questions do we have here? Maybe 1 or 2. So Ming has 1, and then maybe try to weave it into your closing comments. Ming.
Yeah. I have a question for both Henk and Haruka. I'd like Henk to respond first and give Haruka the last word. The Salesforce Philanthropy Cloud is designed as an enterprise class software. Obviously, a lot of effort, a lot of money was spent developing it for a very specific situation in the US and in Canada. Right? From the discussions from yesterday and what we've seen, there's a lot of interest in something like this in Asia. But the reality is that it is not going to happen anytime soon. Whereas a more lighter version, that Haruka has developed on her own, probably with resources 1/10 or even less than what you have put in, right? So that might be more easily adapted for some of the emerging markets in Asia. Right. I'd like to get your sense of, from your perspective, right? This is in a way, right? You are a technology disruptor, but you potentially could be disrupted by a smaller, more nimble competitor. So this is sort of balancing the immediate needs of a lot of the NGOs and United Ways in Asia that you are not ready to serve yet. But perhaps a competitor like, I wouldn't say a competitor, a company like READYFOR might be better served. So how do you feel about that? And I'd like Haruka to sort of like I said, have the last word.
Okay, any more burning questions? Yes, 1 burning question. And then we'll combine your thoughts in terms of your feedback with 1 closing words. Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead. We'll just combine the 2.
Okay. I'm curious from the panel, and you hit on it a little bit. Clearly, there's the rise of individual choice and people wanting project-based opportunities. How do we balance that with collective giving around some of the most pressing social issues that we're facing around income inequality, immigrant integration, rising levels of homelessness? Because my fear, I think all these portals can facilitate giving, but if everyone gives to save the whales, which I'm not against whales, but how are we going to really make sure that people are investing and donating to big societal issues?
Thank you. So I will pass it on to both Henk and Haruka for their final words in terms of response to Ming. And then perhaps Shizong and also Veronica can share in terms of how do we avoid being siloed into projects and funding towards projects. So maybe Henk first, then Haruka, then afterwards Veronica and Shizong.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll actually answer those two questions actually are related to each other. My answer, at least, I hope is related to that. Remember the first principle that I said about, that I talked about, that we believe that everybody wants to change the world should have the best technology to do so. We have one set of solutions. We don't have the solution. There is no silver bullet to this. We focus specifically at the interaction between companies and the employees to empower them. So that's why I don't see us as competitors. She services a very specific need for people when they want to connect. We use the power of the collective from a company perspective when they have employees to say, okay, how do you drive that? How do you help them? So that comes to can answer yours. Well, the platform is completely flexible for companies to say, hang on, we want to focus on these issues. So we're going to match your giving or, focus our volunteering or whatever it is on these issues that we feel. Also, it's built to be responsive immediately. So if there's a natural disaster or if there's a refugee crisis, that the company can say, okay, we're going to collect our resources. And the reason why I say a company can do it, we do it at Salesforce. So we do it ourselves. Yes, people can volunteer in the community. They can do whatever they want to. But when we drive it from our company side, we go, okay, these are the issues that's important for us. And it is around poverty alleviation. It is about refugees, etc. So that platform allows that flexibility to be bottom up, but top down as well. So enable people to do that. And I want to just include the SDGs, because this platform also allows you to measure the impact on the SDGs. So a company can pull from that and say, oh, okay, so everything that my employees are doing, these are the impacts. And we actually measure that. You can get it live on the app. Not right now, but you will. Get it live on the app. So we're building that capability in there as well. So that even as an individual, because part of the education is when we say SDGs to the average person in the street, they go, what? But by making it more storytelling for them, they can actually say, oh, I'm doing this. I didn't realize that I'm making the world a better place at a much higher level as well. So connecting them to those goals as well.
Thank you again for inviting me to make a presentation. And I think the crowdfunding is the use of a crowdfunding. The situation of using a crowdfunding is bigger and bigger. I have heard that in China and in Korea and all over the world, using a crowdfunding is the growth laboratory. So yeah, I think the crowdfunding is the best tool for the social entrepreneur to start up their own project. But I think the size of the crowdfunding is a little bit small. So the grant is good and ICO is good and the crowdfunding is good. So I think that there are more and more the kind of the crowd the late fundraising tool is more widely. So, and my company is based in Japan right now, but I'd like to expand my company to the Asian countries. So I hope that from this conference, I'd like to expand it to the Asian countries. So if you have an interest in our company, please connect to me and write a partnership. Thank you very much.
So keep in mind for READYFOR. Now, either Mr. Shi or Veronica, would you like to touch on the question about how do we get away or not be too focused on project and also be mindful of the broader context of the social issues that is prevalent around us? Yeah, okay.
I'm probably
Veronica?
taking the view from being a social entrepreneur. I mean, my focus has been, my heart has been in the field of education and economic empowerment. So that kind of give a big framework for myself and the companies. The YCAB ventures that we created to make investments. That would be the big themes, but yes, we do also invest in quite an agnostic, sort of like agriculture and all of that, simply because enabling farmers enables education and economic empowerment, I guess, as an indirect result to that. I totally agree with you that it should be a balance where the money should go. Philanthropic money, definitely, I guess it's based on personal givers, yeah. But then I guess the world of impact investment is already here, and it will stay. It's just, I think, a more inclusive world to encourage, I guess, those who are still shy in giving away to kind of loan it up. And I think we're looking at the better world. We're looking at what Henk said, that this new generation just want to do something with impact and meaning. If those who are actually, this is like a tryout in giving, they can loan it up. And I think the pairing, the mismatch, And it's the big challenge in the impact investing world. And that's how investors look at impact. And I think do that due diligence on social entrepreneurs. There's not many social entrepreneurs out there that are investable. There's a lot of young people aspire to be, but making them investable is another challenge. So I think there should be a mix, I guess, going forward, like we call it blended funding between philanthropy, venture philanthropy, and also impact investing. Because at seed level, like pre-seed ideation, even concept level, that's what we call a missing middle, which nobody actually will come with investment money investing in this $5,000 to like $50,000 kind of an initiative. That's where philanthropy money comes in, into grants or some other form. But investment can come later, I guess, in a later stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. So one key aspect here is that not all organizations or projects are necessarily impact investment ready, and they probably shouldn't be. So you have to be have the right finance for the right organizations and/or projects. Mr. Shi, any closing words or thoughts that you may have want to share?
我认为我做了慈善做了20多年，我认为整个世界发展非常快。刚才讲了，第一个呢就是贫富之间差别，特别在我们中国已经拉了比较大了，有钱人非常多了。第二的话，世界的网络、数字经济、移动互联网、云，昨天讲的这个区块链，这些新的技术都出来了。因此，我们想募款要创新，如何把高净值的客户把它吸引过来？ 如何把那么多的新的技术用到这个中间去？我感到这就是有很多创新的事情等着我们去做。昨天下午我在讨论的时候，我们把 Henk 叫到外面，谈了大概半小时，大概3刻钟，仔细向他学习。这个希望他能够跟我们能够从他这里学习更多的东西。所以我们在我们的面前，就募款需要创新。 得到更多的钱来做慈善，谢谢。
谢谢。So we are literally 2 minutes and 42 seconds left of our time, and I think we'd like to, because the official time is we're over time by 10 minutes, so it's a coffee break time. But really, thank you so much. You realize that this is even though the topic is about fundraising. The issues that each of the panelists have shared is beyond fundraising. It is also about the communities or individual causes that they care about. And so with that, let's all give a warm round of applause to our panelists, and thank you so much.